Yeah, well, you do have to kind of turn sideways. Once you get up here, it's not too bad. You don't want any broken ankles.
That's what I was saying. Is it on? It's getting in and out. I've got more inches of the waist, so I'm like this.
Huh? Well, that's, I mean, it's something that you would recognize. Like if I just say somebody went to church with me. Oh, I didn't know you knew me. Yes. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Okay. We start on time. It is 6 o'clock. We're going to wait 3 more minutes for some more of our students and family to get here, and then we'll turn the time over to Dean Larry Pulley. Nice having you all here tonight.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Larry Pulley. I'm fortunate to be the Dean of the Raymond A. Mason School of Business here at William & Mary, and I welcome you. Congratulations to our Beta Gamma Sigma honorees. This is a huge honor. It is a big deal. You should be very, very proud of yourselves. I have my Beta Gamma Sigma cords on. A little academic bling. However, I received them as an honorary inductee a few years ago. You have earned yours. We have, and we are very, very honored today to have with us the 2 leaders of William & Mary, President Taylor Reevely and Provost Halloran. Michael Halloran, please join me in welcoming them. You know, there's nothing like a free Friday afternoon when you have their schedules. I was emailing with Taylor yesterday. He was in New York City, and for them to join us today underscores how important this is and how we all are excited and proud of what you have accomplished. We have a guest speaker today, a great guest speaker in double alumnus, Patrick Martin. Pat, as I remember him when he was here in school. Someone else is going to introduce him, and I don't want to preempt that role, but I know you, like me, are very much looking forward to what he has to say. It was a brilliant idea a few years ago to have our Beta Gamma Sigma induction ceremony here in the lovely and historic Sir Christopher Wren building, beginning in the chapel and going into the great hall for a reception. I wish I could say that it was my idea, but unfortunately it was not. But think about it, honoring academic excellence in the oldest academic building in continuous use in the United States on a sunny and lovely pre-spring afternoon. It doesn't get much better than that. When you go into the reception, I will give you a little bit of a preamble. I've heard Taylor and others give this. I hope I will do it justice. Tell you a little bit about the portraits on the wall. On the far wall of the Great Hall, you have King William and Queen Mary. Between them, James Blair, he made 9 trips back and forth in helping to raise money to start the College of William and Mary, was instrumental in securing the charter. And unlike Taylor, he had an arrangement whereby he was president for life. So I think he was president for what, 50 years?
50 years.
50 years, the first president. The large portrait over the fireplace in the front is Queen Anne. She has the large portrait because she gave a lot of the money to start the College of William and Mary. And if you come across to this wall, the wall facing us, you will see the 3 presidents who graduated from William and Mary and the 4th whom we also claim: Washington, Jefferson, Monroe, and Tyler. As Taylor has pointed out, and it is a huge success in Taylor's term as president to add George Washington's portrait. Washington did not attend university, but we gave him his surveyor's license, so we claim him. Taylor says we mailed it to him, and we're not sure he ever paid for it, but it was a long time ago. The other thing, and this is another important thing, he was the first American chancellor of the College of William and Mary after the Revolutionary War, and he was chancellor for 11 years until his death throughout his term as president of the United States. Again, heartfelt congratulations to our inductees on the fruits of your labors and achievements. We are very proud of you. You will remember and you will cherish this day as you should for the rest of your lives. Congratulations. And I now introduce the Beta Gamma Sigma Faculty Director, Professor Bill Stauffer.
Good evening, everyone. Again, welcome, especially moms and dads and family and boyfriends and girlfriends, brothers and sisters who are here with us tonight. As I look over the students, you know, we're looking at the best of the best. I wish I had made the cut years ago, but I don't know that I would have. And I personally have been honored to be an instructor for many of them here, some undergraduate and in the graduate program. And as Dean Pulley said, this really is an honor you won't forget. This is a very special membership recognition ceremony. It's the only one we do at the Mason School of Business. Beta Gamma Sigma, founded in 1907, is known today as a global network of best in business. From my perspective, it is the best of the best here at the College of William and Mary. It's a scholastic honor society dedicated to principles and ideals essential to a worthy life, as well as to a commendable business career. You have distinguished yourself by outstanding performance at the Mason School of Business. You are in the top 20% of a very, very talented group of students from around the world. More than 110 years after its founding, Beta Gamma Sigma is the largest organization in the world honoring business school graduates. Our members live throughout the world, residing in more than 160 countries today. Our chapter here at the College of William and Mary was formed in 1973, and over its almost 45-year history, we have recognized, honored, and inducted, just as we are doing tonight, more than 2,100 students, both undergraduate and graduate, including our distinguished speaker tonight, Patrick Martin, who is a Beta Gamma Sigma inductee himself. The mission of our honor society is to encourage and honor academic achievement in the study of business, to foster personal and professional excellence, to advance the values of the society, and to serve its lifelong members. I would add at this point, for the students here tonight, look around you. This is your starting network as professionals, right here. This is where you start. We're fortunate to have tonight as our guest speaker, Patrick Martin, Managing Director and head of the Strategic Advisory Group for BB&T Capital Markets. He is, as Dean Pulley said, a double alum, so a special place in our hearts for him. He earned his undergraduate business degree, accounting, here in 1987, and later his Master of Business Administration in 1998, when he was inducted, as you will be tonight, into Beta Gamma Sigma. He spent 8 years with Craigie Incorporated Investment Bank before joining BB&T Capital Markets 20 years ago. He and his wife are parents of 3 children who range in age from elementary school to starting college. Having been there myself a long time ago, good luck. That's an exciting time of your life. Earlier this week, Pat and I discussed briefly the subject of his remarks tonight. He then made the mistake of telling me that we have a mutual friend in common, one of my former law partners, so I quickly called him to see if I could get any dirt on our speaker tonight. I couldn't. He would not give up anything damning about him. But what he did say, as we knew would be the case, is that he is simply outstanding. He is outstanding at what he does, and probably no one does it as well as he does it. And I can tell you from our brief discussion about the subject tonight, we are all in for a wonderful learning experience. Please join me in welcoming Patrick Martin.
Wow. Thank you. This is exciting. I wish they'd done this when I was inducted 20 years ago. And I wasn't eligible on my undergrad go-round here, but this is a wonderful event. When I first was invited to do it, I pictured, okay, my business school class had 125 or so in it, top 20%, an intimate little setting, 25 people or so, and maybe a few family members in the Wren Chapel. Dean Pulley will be there. And I come into a packed house, camera in the back, President Reefley, Provost Halloran. So I was watching the NCAA basketball tournament last night, and they were talking about one of the underdog teams that was playing one of the top-notch teams. And they talked. The interviewer was talking about the players having butterflies, and the announcer said it's okay to have butterflies, but you got to make them fly straight. So here's hopefully we can make these fly straight. First of all, congratulations to all of you. Having spent 6 years of my life here, I know that they don't give out the grades here at William & Mary that you needed to earn this distinction, so well done. You know, some of the best career advice I ever received, I received from a faculty member here during my senior year. As you heard, I was an accounting major, and sometime along the way during my senior year, I decided that I did not want to practice public accounting. And as a result, my academic performance started fading. I stopped attending class as much as I should, and this one faculty member asked me to come to his office and asked me what was going on. And I said, you know, I've kind of lost my way. I've made this decision that I don't want to be an accountant, and here I am a semester or so away from graduating, and I don't know what I'm going to do. And he said, well, that's great. And I looked at him with this funny look. He said, you decided something you don't want to do, and that's almost as important as knowing what you do want to do. And I said, okay, that makes sense. And he said, now pick another path, give it a try, and start coming to my class. And the meeting was over. So I went on my way, and I've certainly benefited from that advice over the years, and shared it with friends, colleagues. I've even used it with my children, or at least the older two. And it's still pretty sound advice that you can take out into the world with you. Though I think that there's one add-on to that I didn't get at the time, that over the course of my career I've learned, is that it's important to make sure that while you're on a path that you've got some sort of measuring device, a compass, a barometer, whatever it is, to make sure that that path is still the right one. You know, recently I was interviewing an undergraduate college senior for one of our investment banking analyst jobs, and at the end of the interview, she asked me, wow, you've been here a long time. What's kept you at BB&T? And, you know, I said a few nice things about the nature of the work and the quality of the people I work with. And we wrapped up the interview and sent her on her way. And after she left, I really spent some time thinking about it and, why do I do what I do and why do I do it here? And had a little bit of a sort of existential career crisis over it. So I've spent a great deal of time thinking about that and then sort of reflecting back on my career. And, if you look at how I started, I had that meeting. I had to figure out what my path was. The professor, gave me that well-deserved kick in the rear. And I ended up choosing financial services as the path I would go on. And what I really wanted to do, because it was 1987 and the stock market was great and there was a lot going on in the investment banking industry, I wanted to be in the sales and trading side of the business. But that's not a job you really get coming right out of undergrad. So I was fortunate enough to land a job with a boutique investment bank in Richmond in the operations department. It was a great way to learn the business from the back office side of things. Learned a ton about the business, learned the way it worked, and it was really a stepping stone for me, the first job. So I knew when I got there that I was pretty certain that operations wasn't what I was going to do forever, but certainly my accounting degree and all the prep I got here in the business school, it was a very process-oriented job. I learned it, I did it well, and then eventually asked management for the shot to get to what I wanted to do, which was to really be out on the trading floor. And I was at the time, 25 years old. They were kind enough to sponsor me for the Series 7 exam because you have to have a FINRA registered firm sponsor you if you want to sit for that exam. I passed it, and the next thing you know, I was a bond salesman. Talk about careful what you wish for. I had no idea what I was getting into, but I thought it was the job that I wanted because at the time there were few jobs more coveted in this country than working on a sales and trading floor somewhere. The upside financial opportunity was infinite. It's a job where you work Monday through Friday. You're there early before the market opens, but you're pretty much done by 5, 6 o'clock the latest. No nights, no weekends, travel when you want to. It's a really good gig, and I saw a lot of people making what looked to be really good money and having a good time doing it. But I had no idea what that job was about, including, having no clients on day one and having to make cold calls. And then as I started to generate customer relationships, I learned something else about the fixed income business, and that it's a zero-sum game. And without getting into too much detail, if I sell you a bond and you're my client, if I sell it to you to yield 5%, it's a negotiated market. It's not like stocks, where if you want to buy a share of IBM today, you can call any broker up. It's a listed market. There's a fixed commission that goes with it. And you're going to buy it at 150. And if you buy it at 155, theoretically, your upside is still unlimited with that bond, with that stock. But with a bond, you're buying that fixed return for the life of the bond, 5%. And I'm going to make a certain amount of money when I sell that bond to you. The only way I can make more is if you, the client, yield less. So if I sell it to you at 495, we still own it at the same price, I'm going to make more money. So it felt like my job was to develop a relationship with clients, to exploit them, to get them to do business with me. And inherently, that was my job. It was to certainly to call on, and these were institutional clients. This was not, I did not do retail investing. So it wasn't widows and orphans and things like that. This was everything about the business was legal and moral. There was nothing wrong with it. But I really wrestled with it. And I would talk to some of my colleagues and say, does it ever bother you? And they're like, hey, if you don't sell it to the client, somebody else is. They're big boys. These are professional investment managers at insurance companies, hedge funds, mutual funds. Do your job, go make as much money as you can. That's what we're here for. Well, over the course of my 5 or 6 year career doing that, I just never got comfortable with it and ultimately came to the realization that that's not how I was going to grow old in my career. So I started exploring, looking at graduate school and ultimately found my way back here really for a fresh start. I came back to business school as a career changer and explored, consulting, operations, manufacturing, investment management, just about everything you could during my 2 years here, and ultimately found my way back to investment banking or to financial services, and specifically in investment banking. And what I liked about investment banking was that I had a knowledge base already of the business, but it's an advisory type service It's team-based, it's competitive, you work with really smart people, and you're ultimately helping clients in a way that was different from the way that I helped them or worked with them on the bond business side of things. In investment banking, you negotiate your engagement letters up front, and then you're set out to do the best job for the client possible. And usually the letter's set up that if you do a really good job, you make more. And they know that, and everybody agrees it up front. So it kind of felt a little better for my value system in terms of the way you're going to do the client, and I knew that I would learn a ton in investment banking. I've never learned more anywhere than I did in my first 2 or 3 years as an investment banking associate. So that was really a fantastic experience, and I began working my way up through the ranks at BB&T as a transaction banker, taking companies public, helping companies sell, helping companies buy other companies. And ultimately, as you move up through the ranks, you get to the point where you're leading those transactions and leading negotiations. And it's a grind. It's a tough business, but it's a fun business. It's a lucrative business. But investment banking kind of time ticks by like dog years. It takes a lot out of you. And I started seeking another challenge when I found myself working on deals and being on conference calls with the client's attorney, the buyer, the buyer's attorney, the buyer's financial advisor if they had one, for hours on end, and you're negotiating or even fighting and arguing over how a certain word should be placed in a document, and is that an and or an or is this a which or a that? And at some point I started asking myself, shouldn't we just give on this? If we can't find some middle ground, it's such a minute thing, maybe we should just give on this. And I realized at that moment that the minute you aren't looking out for the best interest of your client, because it matters to them and that's what you've been hired to do, is to give them the best advice to get their deal done, that maybe it was time to look for something else to do. Fortunately, that opportunity came up at BB&T. We were, at the time, it was 2009, and like all companies, we were trying to figure out what it is we could be doing better for our business. And we created what today we call the Strategic Advisory Group. And it's really designed to be a bridge between the investment bank and the commercial bank, because what we found is that there were clients out there that were business owners that were not sort of financial professionals. They weren't public company CFOs, they weren't private equity groups, they were family-owned businesses that were clients of the bank that really wanted access to some of the expertise we have, but they didn't want all the slick investment banker shine to sit down with someone and hey, I brought you in here to ask you some questions and learn a little bit, and all you're doing is talking about taking me public or why it's a great time to sell my business. So it started out a little bit as an experiment, and there was inherently probably some risk in that for me, looking back on it, but it's turned out to be a wonderful role, because I get to spend time now with business owners. I probably touch, through phone calls and meetings, 400 or 500 business owners a year. I'm always working with their local BB&T representative, and I'm generally helping them trying to figure something out. How do I transition this to my son and also take some liquidity out of the business? How does one partner buy out another partner? And are we a candidate to go public? But I'm doing it all on a completely consultative basis, where I don't have to sell anybody anything. My role is really set aside from the rest of the investment bank. But there is this, there's definitely an embedded business development element to it. And as a matter of fact, that's how they justify my role. If no deals came out of it, I'm not sure there might not be the need for the strategic advisory group that I think there is. So the neat thing that's come out of it for me is I've sourced more deals in this role, when my job is not to source deals, than I ever did as a transaction banker. And it's really kind of given me an interesting learning experience about myself in terms of how everybody's got a different way of doing it. And for me, it's about helping people. And if I come to work believing in what I do and trying to help the client, that makes all the difference in the world for me. And certainly, if you look back at the bond business when I was in that job, I had a hard time believing what I was doing there. And in the investment banking, as a transaction banker, I have 100% confidence that investment bankers add value. We get a extraordinarily bad rap in the press. That's probably not going away, because they're for all the good firms there are out there, there are plenty of bad actors in investment banking, so that's here to stay. But I've seen firsthand what we can do to help clients achieve their objectives, and it's been a really powerful experience for me. But the ability to find a role that suits you, you'll be lucky if it happens to you, is probably the best way I can say it. So, once you get out into the workforce and establish your career path, make sure you periodically take stock in what you're doing, just so you can kind of ask yourself why you're there, and don't be afraid to change course. Sometimes what looks like a dream job won't turn out to be. That was the bond business for me, but I had no idea until I did it that it wasn't the right one for me. Other times it'll be a new challenge you'll be looking for. And then there's sometimes when what looks to be the greatest environment that you want to be in, the best employer, won't be that at all. And to use an example that's been in the press lately, our friends at Wells Fargo are helping out the banking industry with what they've got going on. Do you think any one of those employees that opened up a fraudulent account had any idea that they were going to end up doing that when they took the job? No, they thought they were working for a great brand, a big, stable organization that would give them upward mobility opportunities and a great comp and benefits package. And I've tried to imagine a couple of times if I was one of those people, how did they get there? Because it wasn't just one, this wasn't a rogue trader incident, right? I mean, this was endemic throughout or systemic throughout their business. And somebody did it first, and then somebody else did it, and the next thing you know, it became part of their culture. And I just can't imagine being one of those people in and around that, and how you'd feel about that, and how you'd extract yourself from it. So, at these types of things, everybody tells you to find your passion and follow it. If any of you in this room know what your passion is, I'm so jealous. I'm 52 years old and I've not found my career passion yet. I don't know if I ever will. So if you are one of those people, go get it. I mean, frankly, if you knew if it was that easy as following your passion, most of you would have never had to come back for a graduate degree, right? Because you'd already be doing that thing. I think that as you go through your career and you're constantly evaluating things, you may never find the passion. For me, I only have one passion in my life. It's my family. And for me, work is a means to an end. I've found a career that I enjoy, that I feel like I bring value to the client. I believe in what I do. But it's really for what I do for my family. And I don't know if I'll ever find that passion out there in a career. I hope I do. I think I'll know it when I see it. So June 1 will be my 20th anniversary with the firm. And now when somebody asks me why I've been with the firm for so long, I tell them I have a simple way of measuring that. On a periodic basis, I ask myself 3 questions. Do I like what I do? Do I like who I do it with? And at the end of the year, have I been fairly compensated for what I do? And as hard as it is for you all to believe, because I know all you're thinking about is getting back out there and getting a paycheck, the last one's the least important. If you can answer yes to the first 2, it's actually remarkable what you will put up with on the compensation side of things if you like what you do and like who you do it with. But you can kind of imagine some other scenarios, liking what you do but not liking the people you do it with. No matter how much money they pay you, that'll start to wear thin. Same thing the other way around if you like the people you do it with but the job's not rewarding. So I've found if you can answer yes to at least 2 of those questions on a regular basis, and hopefully all 3, you're probably in good shape. But if not, then it's probably time for a change. So if your path doesn't work out, choose another one, and make sure you keep going to class. Thanks.
hope you took notes on those 3 things. They were good. I told you we would learn tonight. One of the other reasons why Pat was willing to come here tonight is I told him that my wife and I have been customers of First Virginia BB&T for more than 30 years. So that helped sell him coming from Richmond tonight. Thank you again, Pat. The principles of Beta Gamma Sigma are represented by 3 words, the initials of which form the name of the society: Beta, Gamma, and Sigma. Those principles will be presented by 3 distinguished members of the Raymond A. Mason School faculty tonight who've had a great impact on our honored students, so you already know them. First, we'll hear from Professor James Bradley, who will discuss the meaning of the Greek word beta. He will be followed by Professor Alexander Woods, who will speak about the Greek word gamma, and Professor Deborah Hewitt will conclude by discussing the Greek word sigma.
Beta is the initial letter of the Greek word bebios, which signifies honor. Honor is personal integrity and excellence of character. It is an enduring quality found in all persons who deserve to lead others. All honorable persons conscientiously seek to recognize, to uphold, and to encourage that which is ethical and that which is just. With humility, they acknowledge human failings which tend to induce the sacrifice of lofty ideas for base gains. They are aware of the difficulty of distinguishing right from wrong when confronted by a variety of alternative goals and a multitude of pressures and means to achieve those goals. But their honor is coupled with resolute courage. They may falter and they may fail, yet they rise with renewed determination to do what is right. Their reputations are their most priceless possessions. All honorable persons recognize their duties before they demand their rights. They respect law and promote order, not because of a negative fear of sanctions, but because of an affirmative conviction that a good society requires the stability which order provides. Worthy members of Beta Gamma Sigma consciously seek to act honorably at all times. Thus, they confidently pursue peace of mind and happiness for themselves, even as they serve as an exemplar for others. Honor is a guiding star which encourages altruism, enlightened social responsibility, and service rather than selfishness. I ask you to honor as an ideal to be translated into reality in your conduct every day of your life.
Gamma is the initial letter of the Greek word gnosis, which means wisdom. There are a number of definitions of wisdom. The one I like is that wisdom is the art of skilled living. The art of skilled living. That's a broad, encompassing definition, so I'll unpackage that for us a little bit by describing some characteristics of wise persons. Truly wise persons are aware of their talents and achievements and do not deny or belittle them, nor do they exaggerate or overestimate their importance. They are also acutely aware of their own limitations and are compassionate and sympathetic to the shortcomings of others. They are quick to acknowledge their profound dependence on others who have gone before them. They laud those who have laboriously built earlier foundations, and they gratefully accept the rich intellectual and cultural heritage they have provided. They are thankful for contributions to their development made by family and friends, by superiors, by subordinates, by peers, by associates, and even antagonists. Persons of wisdom constantly seek a better comprehension and more fruitful application of what is known. They are also endlessly engaged in a quest for an understanding of what is not known. Although the fund of human knowledge has literally multiplied in recent decades, the wise person happily anticipates a future which promises to provide an exponential expansion of this treasure store. Confronted by a veritable flood of facts and concepts, the person of wisdom exercises special discrimination to select, to arrange, to relate, to interpret, and to apply. This is a challenge worthy of the finest minds. I ask you to continue your quest for wisdom, nurture it, and utilize it in your conduct every day of your life.
Sigma is the first letter of the Greek word spude, which means earnestness. Earnestness is enthusiasm, measured by achievement, disciplined by reason, ennobled by sincerity. It is that dynamic quality which is essential for all great achievement. Earnest persons reject both audacity and timidity. They have courage to match their convictions. They inspire confidence, invite action, and generate progress. Without earnestness, both honor and wisdom lose much of their effectiveness. Noble purposes, defined with wisdom and upheld with honor, are fading dreams if the driving power of sensible enthusiasm is not included. The greatest personal achievements are tributes to the blending of honor, wisdom, and earnestness in the minds and hearts of those who lead. Rewards for the individual and progress for society surely proceed from this union of qualities. To each of you, much has been given in mind, body, and spirit. So from you, much is expected. Earnestness will help provide the perseverance that dispels weariness, the forward thrust that overcomes opposition, the resilience that helps you rebound from reverses. To the earnest person, problems become opportunities. I ask each of you to accept earnestness as a guide in your personal life each day of your life.
For the family and friends that are here tonight, you've just seen three of our best professors. Well loved by our students, grateful to have them here with us tonight. They're always inspirational when we get to hear them talk. Let me add my thought. You heard in the three definitions of Beta Gamma Sigma, a theme that ran through pretty clearly was honor and integrity in your life. One of the benefits of being at my age, and there aren't many, believe me, there aren't many. But one of the benefits of being at this age is 44 years after starting to practice law and 44 years across this country in courtrooms and boardrooms. And now, the last several years, here in the classrooms at America's second oldest college. This is something I can tell you with assurance. There is nothing more important than your personal integrity and character. Nothing. It is the currency, in my view, the currency of life. When Patrick Martin spoke about serving others and looking out for their best interest, that's part of what integrity and character is all about. Now, before we get on to the matters at hand tonight, we have one other thing that we must do. For all of our professional staff from the Raymond A. Mason School of Business who make these programs work so well, including this tonight, would you please stand so that we may acknowledge and honor you? Thank you. Thank you. All right, business at hand. Inductees, please stand. Don't be bashful. All right. You have heard the principles which members of Beta Gamma Sigma endorse and strive to uphold from our three professors: honor, wisdom, and earnestness. If you accept these principles as your own, please state, "I do." I do. You may sit down. Thank you. All right, now, it's my pleasure to introduce and call forward our spring 2018 inductees, and this is going to be done on a basis of academic program by academic program, including those who are attending online tonight, by live streaming. I would ask that you hold your applause till we're finished with everybody. Groups will be called up one at a time, and then you'll be seated. So, from our Master of Business Administration, Mark Baltz. Ronak Boranu. Crystal Briganti. Nicole Crome. George Fates. Jamie Fairfoot. Elizabeth Fleming. Davis Frank. Shalonda Franklin. Takesha Fraser. Anthony Green. Stephen Green. Phil Paris. Vidka Heinrich. Morgan Huff. Dietrich Johnson. Okay. Na Lee. Also one of my best students. No pressure there, Miss Lee. Allison Lenthal. Frank Laforno. Sean Lynch. Sasha Mliniak. Sukriti Mishra? No, okay, excuse me. Munish Nain? Timothy Riley? Scott Spears? Sherry Zhang. Lavino Chow. And now from our Master of Accounting program, Max Danielson. Jacob Headley. Melinda Heim. Isabella Crone. Jungkook Lee. Audrey Oak. Rebecca Alton, Alexandra Pancake, Brandon Posner, Kirsten St. Pierre, Jae Chow, and now from our Master of Science in Business Analytics program, Matthew Bondi, Rob Downs, Emma Holt, Eric Morris, Nicole Moy, Yunwoo No, Aditya Satish, Xianqing Song, okay, thank you. And for those who are attending tonight online via streaming, let me read off their names also. Dane Callis, Benjamin Coyle, Carolyn DiLorenzo, Tony Graves, Ryan Gregory, Thomas Hiles, Kimberly Curley, Vivek Khosla, Nathaniel Lauer, Carl Oakland, Edward Peacher, Christopher Rod, Joshua Rogers, Rhea Shields, William Shields, Nova Silver, Joshua Smith, Jeffrey Swanson, and Tracy Walker. Now, honored guests, please join me in welcoming the newest members of the College of William and Mary's chapter of Beta Gamma Sigma. I have a particular smile tonight because I've had the pleasure of inducting at least 2 people here tonight in their undergraduate roles and now in their graduate roles. So I'm very, very proud of you. And I'm very proud of all of you. Your families should be proud of you. I can tell you this, we are proud of you. Okay, now mechanically, here's what we need to do yet tonight before we get to the refreshments. Inductees and members, you'll have packets for you to pick up, your Beta Gamma keys and honor cords, just like Dean Pulley's wearing tonight. We are going to move. Everyone is welcome to go from here to the Great Hall at the other end of the building, just another fabulous room. Make sure you look at the pictures that Dean Pulley said. For our students, you need to stay here for group pictures. Again, congratulations, and for all of our guests and visitors tonight, thank you very much for coming to honor your students.